Hi guys, this is Alfred Black Dice Gaming. Have you ever wanted to roll around in a graveyard and actually find a friend? Well, today we're actually going to talk about the Undead Patron. It is the newest unearthed arcana that has come out for D&D. So let me explain a little bit about what unearthed arcana is, because for newer players and for newer DMs, it's something that they don't know. If you go online and you actually take a look at the website for Wizards of the Coast, you'll actually find that they actually have a lot of information that they give to DMs and players to playtest. And this is one of the ones that they are actually allowing us to playtest. And I will tell you right now, DMs, if you do playtest this material, please go back, take the survey. This is what helps them gain new material in the future. So let's get down and dirty with the undead. So, what is a warlock and a warlock patron? Well, a warlock is someone that makes a deal with some kind of entity, and at the end of that deal, they gain powers for it. So that means, unlike the cleric, they're still gaining those powers, but they don't have to be subservient. So you can make a character that has some kind of a relationship with their undead patron. You can be evil, that is following Strahd to basically keep a finger down on Barovia. Or you can be just a normal Joe that just happened to have made a deal with an undead entity from another place called, like Skeletor. The great thing is that this gives a lot of role-playing material, it gives a lot of candy that you can use, and it gives the advantage of you not being stuck in just one little area. You can literally have all the flavor you want for your story. So just like a cleric and a druid, warlocks have an expanded spell list. These spells are spells that you can cast without having preparation. It does make things a lot easier because you don't have to carry a lot, especially if you do use those spells often. So the first one that you get, the first two that you get at first level, is you get Bane and False Life. Bane is everybody's best friend. Have you ever wanted to get into a field, there's like 3 or 4 bad guys? Well, now you can take 3 of those 3 or 4 bad guys and you can actually take 1d4 away from their saving throws and their attacks. So you're sitting there at 17 AC. The guy rolls a 17, but you rolled Bane on them. So now they're going anywhere from 16 to 13. They're not hitting you. Awesome, because you don't want to hit a warlock. They're squishy. At second level, you get blindness and deafness. You get phantasmal force. Phantasmal force is awesome in itself, but I will talk a little bit about blindness and deafness. Just so you know, if you inflict blindness on a character that you are fighting, they now have disadvantage towards you, which now changes once again their ability to hit you. As a warlock, you don't have a lot of hit points. That is your bread and butter. That's your best friend. Third level, you get Speak with Dead and Phantasmal Steed. The thing is with Phantom Steed. But with Phantom Steed, that's what I like. Now, just like that, you have a paladin in your group, and he calls forth his steed, and it's really awesome. And then you call forth your skeletal horse. So amazing. Fourth level, you gain Death Ward, Greater Invisibility. Really? So now they're not going to see me to attack me? I can either make them blind, or I can just disappear in general. Unless they have True Sight, they're not going to be able to see you to hit you. Fantastic. So, at 5th, you get Anti-Life Shell and Cloud Kill. If you don't like Cloud Kill, I'll tell you right now, read the book again. Because you're obviously not reading that spell right. It is devastating. So the things you get also is you get features. And the first feature you get at first level is Form of Dread. This is where you, if your patron is Stradvan Zarovich, now you're turning vampiric, your skin becomes pale, your fangs come out from your canines, your fingernails turn into claws. You know, little things like that that add flavor and a great storyline for your character. But let's get into the nitty-gritty on what the Form of Dread gives you, okay? The Form of Dread basically says that once you do it, it gives you 1d10 plus your Warlock level in temporary hit points. Temporary hit points is basically candy that the bad guy can hit, and it doesn't affect your normal hit points. These are the hit points that disappear first. So it's fantastic because at a max, at level 1, you're gaining 11 temporary hit points. Secondly, when you make an attack with this, now you can actually inflict fear. You can frighten them with your attack, which is awesome. And you know how that halfling in your group is, you know, has advantage towards fear and being frightened? You are immune. So, yeah, that halfling's not so great anymore, is he? The second thing that you get, and now you get this at 8th level, also, forgot to mention, I should mention this, you can transform a number of times equal to your proficiency. So if your proficiency is 2, you can do this 2 times a day before you even need to rest. So that's great. And it does last a little bit of time, if I'm correct. Yeah, it's about a minute. So just so that the DM understands what a minute is, if you take a D10 and you count it down from 10 to 1, it takes 6 seconds to do a full round. So that means for 10 rounds, this person has this Form of Dread. So anyway, going back to the sixth level where I was before I forgot to mention that, is now you got Grave Touched. Things change in you. You don't need to eat, you don't need to drink or breathe, which is great. Poisonous Cloud. I don't care. I don't breathe. It doesn't bother me. That right there, so fantastic. So many people that I've seen in groups that I've played with or groups that I've ran have gained exhaustion because they actually did not have enough food with them, or they did not drink enough water or whatever. You don't have to worry about that. So at 6th level, you're now immune from that level of exhaustion that they're getting. You can keep running, you can keep fighting, and best yet, you can keep casting those spells to protect your party. Also, in addition, whenever you roll, like let's just say you are rolling against a creature that has immunity to bludgeoning, slashing, or even piercing damage with non-magical attacks. That's great, because now you can change your slashing damage to necrotic, which makes it a magical weapon, which means that immunity is now gone. So you can also do this the same amount of times, so it's just whenever you're using your Form of Dread. You can, when you're also in your Form of Dread though, you can add an additional dice to your damage. So let's say you're doing a sword. You're using a sword. The sword has maybe a D10. You can, in regular times, use your D10, change it to slashing to necrotic, whatever you want, or you can turn into your Form of Dread and now you're doing 2d10 of damage. That, before you even add your modifier, is 20 damage. That is ridiculous at 6th level. At 10th level, you gain something called Mortal Husk. Now you're starting to look like you're dead. You know, your body is physically changing. You know, things are not the same. You have resistance to necrotic damage. And when you transform into your form of dread, you're immune to necrotic damage. So just remember, at 10th level, now you can turn into your form of dread quite a bit. So that necrotic damage that, let's just say, the Spectre is doing against you doesn't even matter to you. It's fantastic. Also, when you're reduced to 0 hit points, my favorite, you basically become a walking grenade. You explode, and when you explode, every creature within 30 feet gain 2d10 plus your Warlock level in damage. Just so you know, you're 10th level. So that means a minimum of 12 damage to everyone within 30 feet because your walking grenade exploded. After a little bit of time, you come back together. You're now at 1 hit point though, but that's okay because obviously you're 1 hit point. They hit you again. You explode again. I know that if I'm correct, you can do this, I think once or twice. No, it's actually just once, but still, even then, I mean, if you do this right, you can definitely fill that bomb. And just so you know, now that I know that it's only 1, which I actually thought was more, make sure you have your cleric ready for healing. Because once you appear, you're now next to enemies at 1 hit point. So Spirit Protection. Spirit Projection, is one of my favorites. This is like astral travel, except instead of your astral form leaving and having to come back to your body, well, maybe you just don't want to come back to that spot. That's great. Your astral form can have your body transmit to that area instead. It is like teleport without error, because obviously you're going to see where you're going. You have like a floating speed, a little hover speed that equals your walking distance. So that's really not that bad. Your body, though, and your spirit are both resistant to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage, which that right there keeps your body safe. Also, you want to make sure that you're in a spot that is not found by the bad guys, because yeah, resistance is fine, but if you get hit by a bunch of them, you're still going to go down. Anything that's from the necromancy school that you do doesn't even require verbal, somatic, or material components anymore while you're in that form. So now you can cast that anti-life shell without having any kind of components. Sneak attack! So, also, one thing that's really important is if you're in that form and you should happen to, let's just say, walk into a wall, but you didn't exit, you're going to take damage, force damage of 1d10. But that's with everything. So just make sure you're prepared to know where you're going and what you're doing. Sometimes it's not good to walk through a wall in a dungeon because you may walk through a pile of dirt. When you're using your form of dread, you can regain hit points equal to the damage you deal if it is necrotic. Now remember, at first level, you can change it to necrotic. So it's fantastic. I think it's great. Now, just so you know, this is a one-shot deal. You have to actually take a rest to be able to do it. But, oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? I can go anywhere I want to. No one's going to see me. I can even cast spells in that situation, and both me and my soul are resistant to damage. Wow. So, I will go ahead and give a little shout out to the Wizards of the Coast and let them know that I actually agree that this is a fantastic subclass. I have enjoyed not just playtesting it, but having some of my players in games playtested. It has definitely made my stories interesting, I have already filled out the survey, so I hope that this ends up in a book, because oh my goodness. So guys, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming to visit us and to visit our channel and to watch our shows. It does take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort. It's definitely not a cheap hobby, but it's what drives us. It's our love. So if you love it as much as we do and you want to follow us, please hit like, share, and subscribe. You know, smash that like button. Or even better yet, we do have a Patreon and we do have a Discord account. We would like to hear from you guys a little bit better. So please, go to our Patreon, take a look, see what you like, and support us, because in the end, it is you, the subscriber or even the watcher, that keep us moving. And as always, happy trails.